Hello my dear students, welcome back to the another session of Social and Political Life 2. Today we are on chapter number 6, Understanding Media. Now through media it has become very easier to see the news about the world. We can come to know about what is the present scenario or what has happened yesterday, what is happening around the world. Each and every details we get by watching the news and also by reading the newspaper, by listening to the radio. So media plays a very important life in our life. Then now in this chapter we are going to see that what are the advantages of media, or through media what are the messages also we can send to the people, how it has a great impact in our life. Understanding media. What is your favorite TV program? What do you like listening or to onto the radio? Which newspaper or magazine do you usually read? Do you surf the internet, and what have you found most useful about it? Did you know that there is one word that is often used to collectively refer to the radio, TV, newspapers, internet, and several other forms of communication? So these are the mass communication: the radio, TV, newspapers, internet. This word is media. In this chapter, you will read about the media. You will find out what is required to make it work, as well as the ways in which the media affects our daily lives. Can you think of one thing that you have learnt from the media this week? Everything ranging from the stall at the local fair to the program that you see on TV can be called media. Media is a plural form of the word medium, and it describes the various ways through which we communicate in society. Because media refers to all means of communication, everything ranging from a phone call to the evening news on TV can be called media. TV, radio, and newspapers are a form of media that reaches millions of people or the masses across the country and the world, and thus they are called mass media. Now, media and technology. It would probably be difficult for you to imagine your life without the media. But cable televisions and the widespread use of the internet is a recent phenomenon. These have been around for less than 20 years. The technology that mass media uses keeps changing. Newspapers, television, and radio can reach millions of people because they use certain technologies. We also tend to discuss newspapers and magazines as the print media, and TV and radio as the electronic media. Why do you think newspapers are called print media? As you know, read further. You will find that this naming is related to the different technologies that this media use. The following photographs will give you a sense of the ways in which technology that mass media uses has changed over the years and continues to change. Now, changing technology or machines and making technology more modern helps media to reach more people. It also improves the quality of sound and the images that you see. But technology does more than this. It also changes the ways in which we think about our lives. For example, today it is quite difficult for us to think of our lives without television. Television has enabled us to think of ourselves as members of a large global world. Television images travel huge distances through satellites and cables. This allows us to view news and entertainment channels from other parts of the world. Most of the cartoons that you see on televisions are mostly from Japan or the United States. You can now be sitting in Chennai or Jammu and can see images of a storm that has hit the coast of Florida in the United States. Television has brought the world closer to us. So through television we can see the images and it has a great impact on our life. If we are sitting far away from one country to another, we can get the news through the television. Like for example, if a cyclone has occurred in some parts of India and if we are living in other countries like the United States, we can easily get the news through the television, isn't it? So before in earlier days newspapers, by reading the newspaper we can get the news of the world, but now we can get the news of the world by the television media. We can see the images, everything is visible on the television. Now media and money. The different technologies that mass media use are expensive. Just think about the TV studio in which the news reader sits. It has lights, cameras, sound, recorders, transmission satellites, etc. All of which cost a lot of money. Now media means you have to expend lots and lots of money. The journalists who are sitting and reading the newspapers, for them the light, camera, sounds, then the satellites, the transmission satellites, everything has to be set up. If these are not set up in a proper way, then we will not be able to see the news. So in arranging all the setups, it costs a lot of money. In a news studio, it is not only the news reader who needs to be paid, but also a number of other people who help put the broadcast together. See, the payments are not only made to the newsreader but also to the people who goes and takes the report from different states of different countries. They are also paid equally. This includes those who look after the cameras and lights. Also, as you read earlier, the technologies that mass media use keep changing, and so a lot of money is spent on getting the latest technology. Due to this cost, the mass media needs a great deal of money to do its work. As a result, most television channels and newspapers are part of big business houses. Mass media is constantly thinking of ways to make money. One way in which the mass media earns money is by advertising different things like cars, chocolates, clothes, mobile phones, etc. You must have noticed the number of advertisements that you have to see while watching your favorite television show. While watching a cricket match on TV, the same advertisements are shown repeatedly between each over, and so you are often watching the same image over and over again. As you will read in the following chapter, advertisements are repeated in the hope that you will go out and buy what is advertised. So when a new product is being advertised in the TV, we often go for chasing that products, because through the advertisement we come to know about the different products, we come to know about the technologies. So the advertisements also plays a very important role in our life. Media and democracy. In a democracy, the media plays a very important role in providing news and discussing events taking place in the country and the world. It is on the basis of this information that citizens can, for example, learn how government works, and often, if they wish to, they can take action on the basis of these news stories. Some of the ways in which they can do this is by writing letters to the concerned minister, organizing a public protest, starting signature campaign, asking the government to rethink its program, etc. So, how can we know about the government? What are the actions? Which are the new laws have been taken up by the government? Or what are the public rights? Everything we come to know from the media only. So media, they sometimes you can see that the reporters, they call out some government officials, and then they discuss about the situation of the country, like how it can be tackled, or then what is the main cause, why these things are happening around the state, around the country. So everything we come to know about the government from the media itself. Then we also come to know about our rights, what are the rights as a citizen of the country. So in media, democracy also plays a very important role. Given the role that the media plays in providing information, it is important that the information be balanced. Let us understand what we mean by a balanced media. Report by reading two versions of the same news event given on the next page. Now, crackdown on pollution factories. Protesters block roads and disturb traffic. Next is closure of factories causes unrest. These are the two news. Okay. Then violent protests by owners and workers brought the city to a standstill today. People getting to work could not do so on time because of huge traffic jams. The owners had workers are protesting the government's decision to close down polluting factory units. Although the government did take this decision rather hastily. The protesters have known for quite some time that their units are not legal. Moreover, the levels of pollution in the city will be greatly reduced by this closure. Mr. Jain, a well-known figure in the city, said, with our city gradually becoming India's new business hub, it is important that it be a clean and green city. Polluting factories should be moved. The factory owners and workers should accept the relocation being offered by the government instead of protesting. Now, closure of factories causes unrest. The closure of 1 lakh factories in the city's residential areas is likely to become a serious issue. On Monday, thousands of factory owners and workers took to the streets to strongly protest this closure. They said that their livelihoods would be lost. They say that the fault lies with the municipal corporation because it continued to issue the license for new factories to be set up in residential areas. They also say that there were no adequate relocation efforts. The owners and workers planned a one-day city bandh to protest against this closure. Mr. Sharma, one of the factory owners, said, the government says that it has done a lot to relocate us, but the areas they have sent us to have no facilities and have not been developed for the last 5 years. So this was the news about the factories closure and also the why the factories has been closed down because of the pollutions. Now, through this, we have come to know about the current situation in some of the state which has occurred. The fact is that if you had read either newspaper, you would only know one side of the story. If you read the news of India, you would mostly likely think of the protesters as a nuisance. They're disrupting traffic and continually polluting the city with their factories leaves you with the bad impressions about them. But on the other hand, if you have read the story in the Indian Daily, you would know that the protests are because of lot of livelihoods will be lost if the factories close because the relocation efforts have not been adequate. Neither of the stories is a balanced report. A balanced report is one that discusses all points of view of a particular story and then leaves it to the readers to make up their minds. Writing a balanced report, however, depends on the media being interdependent. And interdependent media means that no one should control and influence its coverage of news. No one should tell the media what can be included. and what should not be included in a news story. And independent media is important in a democracy. As you read above, it is on the basis of the information that the media provides that we take action as citizens. So it is important that this information is reliable and not biased. However, the reality is that media is far from interdependent. This is mainly because of two reasons. The first is the control that the government has on the media. When the government prevents either a news item or scenes from a movie or the lyrics of a song from being shared with the largest public, this is referred to as censorship. There have been periods in Indian history when the government censored the media. The worst of this was the emergency between 1975 to 1977. While the government does continue to censor films, it does not really censor the media's coverage of news. Despite the absence of censorship by the government, most newspapers nowadays still fail to provide a balanced story. The reasons for this are complicated. Persons who research the media have said that this happens because business houses control the media. At times, it is in the interest of these businesses to focus on only one side of the story. Media's continual need for money and its link to advertising means that it becomes difficult for media to be reporting against people who give them advertisements. Media is thus no longer considered interdependent because of its close links to business. Besides the above, the media also tends to focus on the particular aspects of a story because they believe this makes the story interesting. Also, if they want to increase public support for an issue, they often do this by focusing on one side of a story. Setting agendas. The media also plays an important role in deciding what stories to focus on and therefore decides on what is worthy. For example, the annual function at your school is unlikely to make the news. But if a famous actor is invited as a chief guest, then the media might be interested in covering it. By focusing on particular issues, the media influences our thoughts, feelings, and actions and brings those issues to our attention. Due to the significant influence it plays in our lives and in shaping our thoughts, it is commonly said that the media sets the agenda. Very recently, the media drew our attention to alarming levels of pesticides in cola drinks. They published reports that indicated the high level of pesticides and thus made us aware of the need to regularly monitor these colas according to the international quality and safety standards. They did this despite the government's resistance by boldly declaring that colas were unsafe. In covering this story, the media positively helped us focus on an issue that affects our lives and one that we might not even have been aware of it had it not been for media reporting. There are several instances when the media fails to focus on issues that are significant in our lives. For example, drinking water is a major problem in the country. Every year, thousands of people suffer and die because they do not get safe drinking water. However, we seldom find the media discussing this issue. A well-known Indian journalist wrote of how the fashion week, in which clothes designers show their new creations to rich people, formed the front page headlines of all the newspapers, while several slums were being demolished in Mumbai the very same week, and this was not even noticed. So there are many things which the media does not show us. They actually nowadays the media are running into business. The more they focus on one thing, and the more they will earn. If they divert our mind in one particular thing, because they will make the issue so interesting that people will follow that news each and every time, and the rest of the world, what are the conditions, they don't focus, and we are not even aware of those situations. So nowadays media has become a business. As citizens of a democracy, the media has a very important role to play in our lives, because it is through the media that we hear about issues related to the working of the government. The media decides what to focus on, and in this way it sets the agenda. The government can at times prevent the media from publishing a story, and this is called censorship. Nowadays, media's close relationship with business often means that a balanced report is difficult to come by. difficult to come by. Given this, it is important for us to be aware that the factual information that a news report provides is often not complete and can be one-sided. We therefore need to analyze the news by asking the following questions. What is the information I am learning from this report? What information is not being provided? From whose point of view is the article being written? Whose point of view is being left out, and why? So whenever you are seeing a news, you should always put up some questions in your mind, like, is the information whatever we are receiving is true, and what is the main issue? We shouldn't look on the one side of the report, because nowadays the media has become a business. The more interesting the news, the more the channel will run. So through media, no doubt we get a lot of information about the world by sitting at home, but it also affects our day-to-day life. We are so much engaged in the news that sometimes we go to people, not we but people, they go to depressions also through the media. It affects our life very badly. So we shouldn't always believe that a media will give us the perfect news of the day-to-day life. And like in the Indian, like in the movies, in the films, they have a censorship. Whatever the censor department feels that it is not correct for the viewers, they will simply take out those scenes from the movie. So the people also wants that this kind of censorship should be there in the media also. Since the media is not interdependent, that's why nobody has the right to tell them anything, that what type of news they should provide and what are the news they should not provide. Nobody has the right to tell them anything. They have their own rights. So that's why a censorship should be made from publishing those stories which are not a balanced story. And therefore we shouldn't believe that each and every news is correct. Instead, we should analyze the news and ask few questions to the media people. So this was about the chapter Understanding Media. So next time we will meet with a new chapter. Till then, take care students, and thank you so much.